Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40k Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about Space Marines as we finally answer the viewer request of the Raptors chapter. If you guys have any requests, comment down below. With that said, let's get into 40 facts about the Raptors. The Raptors are a loyalist second founding successor chapter of the Raven Guard. The Raptors chapter culture is one that is very wary of the idea of martial glory or honor and prefers instead to emphasize adaptability and completion of the mission over all other concerns. The Raptors primarily wear drab green power armor. The Aquila or Imperialis on the chest guard is silver. The white squad specialty symbol on the right shoulder guard designates operational specialty such as tactical, devastator, assault, or veteran. A black Roman numeral is stenciled on the center squad specialty symbol, which indicates squad number. A white Roman numeral stenciled on the right knee guard indicates company number. The Raptors chapter badge is the profile of a white-colored raptor's head. The Raptors were mistakenly recorded in Imperial records as a chapter called the Raptor Legion, and they wore blue power armor with a yellow face, shoulder plate, gloves, and boots. Their chapter badge was a white hawk's head centered on a field of dull green. When the chapter's records were corrected, the Legion suffix was dropped from their name. At this point, their armor color changed, but their chapter badge of the white hawk's head, centered on a field of dull green, stayed the same. The Raptors were created during the second founding, the descendants of a handful of scions of the Raven Guard Legion, who were created as a new chapter after the dark days of the Horus Heresy. Legend suggests that the Raptors were originally drawn from the company of new initiates training on the Raven Guard homeworld of Deliverance at the time of the infamous drop site massacre of Isfahan V. This nearly wiped out the Raven Guard Legion, allowing only the Primarch Chorus and several thousand of his Astartes to survive. These initiates were also spared some of the darker events involving rampant mutations that befell their legion, as the Raven Guards attempted to rebuild itself too quickly. In the heresy's aftermath, this company went on to serve with distinction against the remnants of the forces of chaos, and was later granted the honor of full chapter status after Guilliman's reforms of the Space Marine legions, and the use of the Codex Astarte were imposed on this legion, breaking them up into smaller chapters. Fragmentary evidence suggests that the fleeting Raptor chapter began its service as a fleet-based chapter in the middle of the 31st millennium, engaging in pursuit of the scattered traitor legions during the Great Scouring that followed the end of the heresy. Several standard centuries later, the Raptors were granted a world on the edge of the Eye of Terror in the Segmentum Obscurus, joining numerous other chapters to share the responsibilities as guardians against chaos incursions from the Great Warp Rift known as the Eye of Terror. All signs suggest that the chapter served capably in fulfilling its responsibilities for millennia. However, the chapter's history is then obscured by the passage of the ages, as their first homeworld, whose name is now lost, was believed to be destroyed sometime during Abaddon's Black Crusades, likely the 4th Black Crusade or the 5th Black Crusade. The disaster occurred in either the 34th or the 36th millennium. With the world's destruction, all the chapter's early trophies, records, and much of its most valuable and ancient war gear was all annihilated. In the 37th millennium, Imperial records indicate that the entire Raptor chapter was listed amongst those Space Marines who had gone missing or were presumed killed in action. All signs indicate that they maintained this status for more than 2 millennia. The cause behind this disappearance is unclear and lost to the ages. It was not until the Cabaret Wars of the early 39th millennium that the Raptors resumed their status as a full-strength Space Marine chapter. Their actions during the intervening millennia are unclear. The chapter may have been rebuilding from a substantial loss, or they might have spent their time fighting in and escaping from the terrors of the warp. At this point, one key element of the Raptor's incarnation became clear. During the Cabaret Wars, the Raptor had access to an ample supply line. References from other Imperial sources indicate that they have once more taken a homeworld and re-established a fortress monastery they refer to as Prime. The Raptors currently operate from a world variously named Numina, Ra, or Badwater, from deep within the dense stellar drifts of the Sutter Spiral Nebula. on the northern border of the Segmentum Solar. However, none of the Battle Brothers have disclosed the name or the precise location of the homeworld, even to members of the Adeptus Administratum. It is in their nature to be secretive, and to value the careful application of stealth. The fact that the Raptors lost their first homeworld only serves to intensify their concerns. The safe preservation of their adopted home is clearly a priority to the Raptors. This has become a point of concern between the Adeptus Administratum and the chapter. Not only could this act of independence have heretical consequences, but it effectively complicates any communication between Terra and the chapter. The Raptors chapter prides itself on the extreme zeal for the Emperor of Mankind, but their reckless disregard of the Codex Astartes is legendary, according to the Captain Adrias of the Ultramarines. Like their genetic forebearers, the Raptors adhere to the broad organizational patterns and provisions laid out in the Codex Astartes, but as a chapter, they see the Codex as a highly effective and proven set of strategic and operational guidelines, rather than a strict dogma to be obeyed without question. The Raptors maintain a high degree of flexibility in their deployment and structures, and in battle favor hit-and-run tactics over all else. The Raptors are known for shunning the glory of close-quarter combat favored by many other chapters, for the simple expediency of the kill from afar with a ranged weapon. Like their parent chapter, the Raven Guard, the Raptors make extensive use of their Scout Marines dispersed throughout their task forces, and maintain a sizable contingent of land speeders of all types, as well as a corps of diverse armored vehicles. They prefer to employ their assets along with their assault units and precision strikes to overwhelm any enemy at strategic crucial junctures in battle, after determining the most effective pressure point at which to break the enemy. Flexibility and willingness to adapt to their situation represents the core of the Raptors' combat doctrine. As they prepare to engage their opponents, these Space Marines are always careful to identify all of their assets and utilize them to the fullest means possible. These often include assets that are not identified within the constraints of the Codex Astartes. Even when operating well within the strictures of that tome, these Battle Brothers may choose to take measures that others might consider dishonorable. For members of the Raptor chapter, the only important standard is success. Honor and glory are noble notions, but a clear victory is worth far more than any amount of either. Most of the distinctive combat tactics that the Raptors employ are tied with this notion. Many Space Marine chapters exhibit a clear disdain for the use of concealment, secrecy, espionage, and counterintelligence. The Raptors know, however, that it provides a limited number of countermeasures to overcome those who use such deception against members of the Adeptus Astartes. The Raptors chapter enthusiastically and consistently applies these techniques throughout its battles, deceiving their opponents as to the timing, nature, and objective of an attack can often grant the Space Marines a significant tactical advantage. Similarly, by expertly scouting a region prior to launching an attack, the Raptors are often able to insert their forces without their opponent realizing the number or nature of the opposing forces. Such insertions are entirely dependent upon the reliability and accuracy of their initial reconnaissance work. This requires extensive dependence upon their Scout Marine units, which exceeds the level of characteristic of many other Space Marine chapters. When engaged in scouting missions, the chapter's Battle Brothers typically focus on both gathering intelligence and on countering the opposition's efforts. Just as they work to penetrate the fog of war, they may also deliver false but credible information. Consequently, at the same time as the Space Marines penetrate directly to the most valuable points of their opponent's strategy, those opponents are unable to locate the heart of the Raptors' forces. This stratagem has often enabled the Raptors to effectively engage opponents that enjoy an even greater numerical advantage than is typical of an Imperial Space Marine force. In keeping with their willingness to make use of every available resource, the Raptors chapter often take direct charge of the Imperial Guard units available in their given theater. Rather than deferring the organizational leadership, these Space Marines deploy their members among the mere human forces and then take a direct hand in their disposition and tactics. During the course of an engagement, there are two favored elements to any plan that these Battle Brothers are likely to enact. The first is a supreme reliance upon their marksmanship. It is unclear if enhanced marksmanship is an innate element of the Raptors' gene seed or simply a consequence of their training. In either case, these Space Marines are highly skilled sharpshooters, even by the exceptionally high standards of the Adeptus Astartes. The second core strategy is the use of hit-and-run tactics. The Raptors chapter is exceptionally well equipped with assault bikes, land speeders, and jump packs. Whenever possible, these Space Marines favor the use of guerrilla tactics and ambushes to deplete enemy forces prior to a more traditional engagement. Millennia of refining their techniques have enhanced their abilities to the point that these battle brothers are often able to decimate enemy forces through precision surgical strikes, minimizing the enemy forces present in future conflicts. When these tactics are considered in combination with their extraordinary marksmanship, it is not surprising that some have likened the chapter to Space Marine assassins. To accommodate this tendency, the Raptors keep an atypical size contingent of all types of land speeders as part of their armory. In keeping with the value that these Space Marines place upon independent thought, each of the Raptors companies operates on a largely independent basis. It is only in reaction to a particularly dire threat that multiple companies gather to cooperate. For the last few millennia, they have fought across the breadth of the Imperium, wherever they have been needed. And those were 40 facts about the Raptors. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There's going to be a part 2 where we go over the gene seed and some other more badass things about the Raptors chapter. Like the lore says, they're basically Space Marine assassins. So they're just really badass, and the lore continues. So subscribe to the channel to get that. If you guys have any suggestions, comment down below. Put request followed by whatever suggestion for Space Marine chapter or any Warhammer 40k lore you guys would like us to create a video for. And at the same time, it really helps out the channel if you comment down below, so a suggestion really helps out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. This was Gershwan with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.